Very few world leaders understand Tehran's doomsday theology. Benjamin Netanyahu does. I know because we discussed it for a documentary that I produced in 2007.
I think the West fundamentally misunderstood and still misunderstands the threat of radical Islam. It is a fanatic, messianic ideology that seeks to have an apocalyptic battle for world supremacy with the West. It seeks to correct what it sees, its disciples see as an accident of history where the West has risen and Islam had declined. And the correction is supposed to be done by the resurrection of an Islamic empire and the acquisition of nuclear weapons and the use of nuclear weapons, if necessary, to obliterate Islam's enemies and to subjugate the rest. This is a pathological ideology, much like Nazism was. And it poses a threat, in my judgment, in many ways bigger than Nazism, because Hitler embarked on a world conflict and then sought to achieve nuclear weapons, whereas the leading radical Islamic regime, Iran, is seeking to first acquire nuclear weapons and then embark on a world conflict. And that is what is not yet understood in the West, and certainly if it's understood, it's not acted upon. But you've already seen what the Sunni stream does, which is to smash into buildings in Manhattan with collective suicide, to smash into the Pentagon with collective suicide. And there's no reason to believe that the militant Shiites, once they have atomic weapons, will not be suicidal. They say openly that they intend to remove Israel, the first position of the West. We're the little Satan. But remember that their goal is to get the United States, the big Satan. We're just a station, one station on the way to world conquest. And to have such a regime that believes in an apocalyptic Armageddon with the West, in which millions will die on both sides, but the Muslim millions go to a Muslim heaven with all the trappings, to have that crazy ideology in charge of a country that is developing atomic weapons is unbelievably dangerous, and it should stop. Everything else is secondary to this. And of course, they threaten to create a second Holocaust in Israel and proceed on their idea of a global empire, producing 25 atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade, with missiles that they're already working on, they want to develop to reach the eastern seaboard of the United States. So this is something that just, everything else pales in comparison to this development. This has to be stopped for the sake of the world, not only for the sake of Israel.
Most people, however, do not understand this issue. And that's why I've been talking about it, writing about it. Between 2010 and 2013, I actually wrote 3 novels imagining what could happen if American leaders ignore this threat and Israel is left alone to deal with it. The 12th Imam, the Tehran Initiative, and Damascus Countdown. I've briefed members of Congress about this, addressed evangelical leaders, evangelicals at the grassroots, done countless interviews, and more recently, wrote Enemies and Allies. Look, I wish I could tell you tonight that leaders in Washington and elsewhere get it. Most don't. President Biden definitely does not get it. That's why we cannot stop praying for the peace of Jerusalem. Yes, we are seeing one Arab nation after another make peace with Israel, but simultaneously, evil is rising. Please pray for your leaders, even if you did not vote for them. Pray for the enemy's leaders, that God would save them or remove them. And pray without ceasing.